My Lucky Charm, written by Andrew Janio. This is a true story. Catherine O'Donnell was diagnosed with cancer in December 2019. She remained positive and fought hard. During this time, the COVID-19 lockdowns were imposed. Catherine was shielded by her immediate family. Over the next 2 years, she would tell stories of her early life and the impact that World War II had on her family. Throughout this story, you will hear Catherine's own recollections.
My Lucky Charm, Scene 7. This will hurt you. The war in Europe was going well, and there was a growing confidence across the nation that the end of this horrific madness was in sight. King's Cross Station was busy that evening. There was a lull in bombing, and some form of normality had returned to life in London. Betty is waiting on the arrival of the 710 from Glasgow. She's smartly dressed, not in the drab colours more commonly seen during these war years. She has long blonde hair, which hangs below her headscarf, blue eyes and bright red lipstick. Heads turn to look at her. She waits on the platform with some trepidation. She has something to tell her husband, but is not sure how best to tell him, and less sure on how he will react. Mick steps from the train and waves to her. He is still in his army uniform. He has travelled from Orkney, and his journey has taken him all day. A very long 24 hours. Despite this, he smiles broadly as he sees Betty and waves to attract her attention. He is carrying a large bouquet of flowers. His pace quickens as he walks up the platform. It has been a long time since he last saw her, and he can hardly contain his excitement. Betty sees Mick, but does not return his wave. She slowly starts to walk towards him. As Mick reaches her, he greets her with a kiss and gives her the flowers. She reluctantly accepts them. There is nothing passionate about their embrace. Mick senses there is something different, but says nothing. He can't put his finger on it.
Hello. Everything okay?
She doesn't answer his question.
Hello, Mick. How are you? Did you bring these flowers all the way from Orkney?
I did that.
You can hear his smile in his voice. Almost a sense of achievement in delivering the flowers intact all the way from Kirkwall.
How are you?
I'm grand, aye. Tired, but pleased to be here. Oh, I missed you. Did you not bring the wee uns?
They're at my mum's. It was too late to bring them here. They should be in bed by now. You'll see them when you get back.
It was wartime, and my dad was 30 and she was 18. She didn't want to be involved with Mickey and I. I can remember her getting ready for work. She worked in Ford's, and I can smell all the perfume she used to wear all the time. She had long blonde hair. I can always remember that, brushing her long blonde hair.
Let's go for a drink before we head home. It's been 6 months since you were last here, and there is some news I need to tell you.
You make it sound serious. Okay, a drink sounds like a good idea. It's been a very long journey and I could do with a pint. Right, where shall we go?
The King's Arms is just around the corner. Let's go there.
The pub was busy, but they managed to find a quiet snug. Betty slid into the booth. There was a candle on the table that lit the area they sat at. Everything in the room appeared to flicker. Mick went to the bar. She looked over and saw a young man sitting at the table opposite and smiled. The man nodded and smiled back but said nothing. Mick returned with a pint for himself and a gin for Betty. He took a large sip of his beer.
By God, I needed that.
He held his glass up and looked at it, almost worshipping it. He took another sup and slowly put his glass down on the table. Betty was watching him all this time. He smiled and looked over at Betty.
Now then, what is so important that it couldn't wait till we get home?
Betty didn't immediately reply. Mick could sense her reluctance, almost a fear as she looked at him. He was bewildered and his mind was working hard to make sense of what was going on. What she said, however, floored him.
I'm leaving you, Mick. I'm so sorry, but I don't love you anymore. I don't want to hurt you, but I need to move on.
Mick looked at Betty in disbelief. He was studying her face, trying to make sense of what he had just heard. He couldn't make up his mind on whether she was joking.
What do you mean you're leaving me? What about all the things you said in the letters you wrote? What about the Waynes?
I'm so sorry, Mick. I think I was too young. Everything happened so quickly. We should not have married.
Should not have married? What do you mean? You had a choice. You were happy to get married at the time. Look, this is stupid, right? Let's finish our drink and get out of here. Let's go home. It's been a long day and I want to see the Wayans. We can talk about this in the morning.
I'm not going home, Mick. I can't go home. I can't go with you.
What do you mean you're not going home? What about the Waynes?
Mum's looking after the children. Dad has thrown me out.
What?
I am pregnant, Mick.
The stranger now walks towards their table.
This is Sid. We need to go.
Betty gets up and follows Sid out of the pub. Mick watches them go without saying anything, too shocked to react to what's just happened. He sits quietly looking at his pint before asking the barman for a whiskey.
My dad was in the army and he used to come down and leave. When he was demobbed, he didn't want to live in Romford anymore. He was working in Fords and then he found out that my mother was pregnant. So my dad, I was what age then? I was coming up in 7. And he didn't want to live down there anymore. And he wouldn't divorce her. So she changed her name and completely disowned Mickey and I. Didn't hear from her, didn't know anything about her. My dad was anti-women after that.
Scene 8. King's Cross Station the next day.
This is London. The Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Winston Churchill, will make a statement from Downing Street to the nation and the free world. Yesterday morning at 2:41 a.m. at General Eisenhower's headquarters in Rheims, General Jodl, Chief of Staff of the German High Command, signed the Act of Unconditional Surrender of all land, sea and air forces in Europe to the Allied Expeditionary Forces and simultaneously to the Soviet High Command. Hostilities will end officially at 1 minute after midnight tonight, Tuesday, the 8th of May.
Great news, Mick. It's finally over.
Aye. It's good that it's over. Too many young lives have been lost. Here, have a cigarette.
No thanks, Mick. I'll smoke my own. Capstan are a bit too strong for me. You don't mind?
Not at all. They can be a bit strong.
I thought you were a pipe smoker.
Normally I am, but sometimes I do roll my own. I'm out of tobacco. With a Ashton it's hard to get some, so all I had was cigarettes. I'll try that shop next door before I catch my train.
What time is your train?
Oh, it's not for a couple of hours yet. I got here early. I couldn't stand spending any more time with her family.
Oh, I see.
Do you?
Well, to be honest, no, but I didn't want to pry. I appreciate there are times we all want to be on our own. I thought you'd be out celebrating the day. The peace has been a long time coming. It'll be a huge relief to everyone.
Ugh, I don't feel like celebrating. I've got things to sort out. Betty's left me for another man.
Oh, God. Oh, sorry to hear that, Mick. Not the best of times to get news like that. Do you know what you're going to do?
Well, in the short term, I'm going back to Orkney. My leave is up. Now that the war's over, I expect to be discharged, hopefully in the next few months. I know I'll get my old job back at Ford's if I've already asked them.
Oh, well, at least that's something. What about the Waynes?
Betty doesn't want them. Can you believe that? Some kind of mother she has turned out to be. There'll be Lizzie and Ted at the minute. I'll leave them there to decide what I'm going to do.
That's no easy, Mick. Have you told your mother?
No, I haven't told her. I'm not planning on stopping off at Glasgow. I don't have the time and I need to sort my head out first. This journey will feel long enough without building in more delays. Anyway, that's why I came to the station early. I thought a few pints will help me sleep most of the journey. I didn't sleep much last night.
I'm no surprised. It'll be a while before you get over something like that.
You'd think so, but do you know what? I think I'm better off without her. I had a feeling things just weren't right. I just couldn't put my finger on it. Well, she's made her bed and she can lie in it.
So, what's next?
I'll see how the job at Ford's works out. To be honest, my heart's not in London now. I'll take the job, but I'll start looking for work in Glasgow. I think I'll bring the boy back with me the next time I'm done. He was born in Hamilton, and I want my son to be brought up Scottish. I'll leave Catherine with Lizzie. She dotes on that lassie. Treats her like she's her own daughter. I'll speak to Lizzie and Ted about it when I get back.
Is it a good idea to split them up?
Look, they're young, they'll be fine. And I think it's for the best. I'll soon be back on my feet. Betty won't see them again, that's for sure. I'll see to that.
I don't think my dad was thinking right then. No, he was that angry. He came home when old Betty was pregnant.
Betty was played by Diana Brooks. The narrator was played by John McQuiston. Mick was played by James Walker. And the BBC announcer and Churchill were played by Mark Coleman. Featuring original recordings of Catherine O'Donnell. My Lucky Charm was produced by Sandy Jones at the Foundry Music Lab.